one day you find 10 years have gone behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older. Every year is getting shorter. Never seem to find the time. The time is gone, the song is over. Thought I'd something more to say.
Reflections of 73. A look back at the major stories that helped give the year gone by a well-remembered place in the history books.
In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
The Whoppers won big hamburger.
And we have a liftoff. The Skylab lifting off the pad now.
Hi there, I'm Larry Lujack, the greatest disc jockey who has ever lived.
We built Ford Pinto to be a rugged, reliable car.
Secretariat, he wins it by 2 lengths.
Shake and bake. It's better than frying.
WLS.
Hello?
Every time that I look in the mirror, all these lines in my face getting clearer.
I guess that's why I use Bruce.
The past is gone. It went by like
I'm Judy.
dusk to dawn.
Love you, baby.
Not the way. Everybody's got the dues in life to pay.
Margaret's problem? Occasional irregularity.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
Sing with me, sing for the year, sing for the laugh and sing for the tear. Sing with me just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away. Dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on.
You know, I think it's very hard for me to imagine that it's been 50 years. I also find it scarily easy to put myself back in that day and viscerally feel what it was like to be part of the class and part of trying to grow up and figure everything out. I did give a speech on graduation day. I actually did a speech that in Latin was titled, I don't remember what the Latin version was, but the basic idea was the wag of angular mobility. And the whole idea was that, you know, we were living in this pressure cooker town called Lake Forest. And, you know, everybody was pushing us to be as aggressive and ambitious as we could possibly be. And I just had this theory that maybe it wasn't such a bad idea to, instead of going straight up, to just go at a bit of an angle and kind of take life as it comes and take advantage of the opportunities, but not fall into the trap of being driven by other people's hopes for you. I think I kind of recognized without knowing it at the time that a lot of us were pretty driven, and that this was more of a reminder to step back as opposed to an exhortation to give up. You know, I think, you know, like a lot of other people in the class, I've had both my share of victories and my share of tragedies. But I do think the idea of at least taking a moment to look at the things around you, to enjoy the flowers and the birds, as they would say, you know, it's been an important part of my life and made it all the much richer. So yeah, I think it was the right idea.
My favorite memory of the high school.
Favorite memory?
Favorite memory? Well, that's a hard one.
Oh, how embarrassing this is going to be.
It was marvelous.
Free reign to do practically anything and everything I wanted to do.
My starting salary was $5,000 something, I think.
Approximately over $6,000 a year.
My name is Art Black.
Bill Raymond. Don Bergsrud.
I'm Diane
Fashion statement.
Sears Leisure Suit.
My name is Don Spooner.
My name is Ray Krasik.
Kent Lossick.
Joel Acapinti.
Eleanor McMurrin.
I taught math. I taught for 34 years.
My name is Barbara Silver.
Lloyd Atwell.
Bob Cook. I'm Denny Herman.
We were a family.
Best time of my life.
I had kids give me the finger.
A great bunch of kids.
I remember so fondly those early days.
I wish to this day that I could go back.
I've got some stories I want to tell you.
Mr. Krasik was given the test to be a lifeguard at the old pool, and I was a guinea pig trying to fake myself drowning in the deep end. Well, about the 8th or 9th person was I have to say she's a very pretty girl, and I was still pretty young. I was only 26, 27. She's probably 17 or 18. And we were in the deep end, and I was supposed to struggle as much as I could to try and make believe I really was drowning. I was kind of hurting because I was kind of tired at the time. Well, Lynn decided that she panicked or something. But she jumped on top of my head and literally gave me a scissors around my neck. And of course, everyone on the sideline is just screaming and yelling things. And I remember I had a hard time going to walk the hallways after that for a couple of months.
One of my best memories was driver's ed. Mr. Krasik was a great teacher, but when it came time to doing engine and I remember him making me drive, and we were driving by Crabtree Farms, and he says, "So what's on the building? Or what's on the barn?" I'm like, "The barn? It's back there." And he said, "Well, you're supposed to be looking in your rearview mirror." And then when we got back, he opened up the hood and wanted me to start naming where the battery was. I was like, "I'm out of here." And he's like, "No, you get back here. You have to start." And I said, "No, I'm leaving." And I ran into the building, and he actually trotted after me. And in those Laurel and Hardy moments where you're running and you hide into a doorway like this, and they run right by, it's exactly what happened. I was belly laughing going, "It works, are you kidding me?" And he never caught me, and next day of class I was like,
A lot of you are watching this, and if I don't mention your name, it's not because I overlooked it, but we're talking 1973.
John Lazaretto.
Jeff Bonk.
Carl Kitzero.
Jim Fondries, who now is a dentist, I guess, and maybe he's taking out what I took out on him, he's taking out on his clients. I remember Kurt Kafer. He was a tiger. A phenomenal wrestler.
Steve Swanson.
Terry Kankar. She's the cutest girl in the class.
My glasses on here.
Wayne Carlson. And I remember when you were in the wood shop, you took it very seriously, although you were always full of baloney too sometimes. Brian Schmidt, there's so many of you.
That's Sally Chung.
Jimmy Townsend.
And Jim, you returned as a fine paraprofessional at West Campus. And I thank you for your work in doing that.
You were wonderful in class. We had some great times in there. You always did very well.
Harry Kavanaugh.
Andy Weinstock, I remember you telling me that you were an MP in the military. David Wilms, your father, owned the pharmacy. Mike McKernan, Bill McKenzie, George DeGrow.
Craig Murray was a super athlete.
Patty Folks.
Scott Webster was in my class.
The 70s after Kent State, I did a thing whereby I thought everybody was nonchalant. Here these students have been killed by National Guard people. Oh, that's not a fun thing. And people were like, "Oh, it's a news story." And I said, "Well, I have to see that there's an emotional reaction to this, so I thought up this bright scheme. That's all a question of how bright it was. So I went to different kids in my classes, and I concocted a scheme to see how people react to when they witness violence themselves. So we had, in each class, I picked out a different student, boys only. I couldn't think of doing this with girls. And I said, we're going to get into an argument. You started, I'll escalate it, and I'm going to slap you. And then I'm going to send you out of the room to the dean's office. So I did that in several classes, and the reactions were really amazing, because it was more than I thought. Students were crying, other people were shocked. There was incredible silence. In one class, it was like someone had died. And this kid would come up to me and was super belligerent, different ones in the class. They were very good. I mean, I guess they had practiced it. But that was a good point. I think kids understood that there's an emotional component to what goes on in the world. It's not all academic. So I was hoping that when they heard other things, they could try to react to it emotionally as well as intellectually.
Smoke on the water, a fire in the sky. Smoke on the water.
What was your favorite class? This one's probably going to shock you a little bit, but it was African American Studies with Joe Acapeni. And we lived in a time that was very difficult back then with race relations, and I found all of it very, it was good to learn the history, number one, and number two, to be able to relate to, what that history was and how it kind of affected us in those days, and, still today. And Joe was just an awesome guy and a very good communicator, and he made it fun. Man, we grew up in a time of unbelievable music. I don't know if everybody can say that, because I think we pride ourselves on that. But there was, I guess, 2 songs, Buffalo Springfield, For What It's Worth, Hot Town, Summer in the City, Back of My Neck, Getting Dirty and Gritty. It had a lot of truth and light to it. And the other one was, and I can't remember who sung it, it was Ooh Ooh Child. Ooh, child, things are gonna get beautiful. Ooh, things are gonna get brighter. And I used to sing that in my car with John and Kevin, and so it was, kind of had a nice uplifting spirit to it.
And somewhere along the line, I had to volunteer for Pep Club. Now, wasn't that smart? My first job of being an advisor was Pep Club. It was all girls, and they met in the girls' locker room, so I couldn't attend the first meeting. So we soon changed that. But yet, I had no idea what a Pep Club advisor was to do.
One of the funniest that I remember actually took place at East Campus, and probably might have been my first year. And it involved Mitch McKillian and Fritz Nichelle. And I really was young and naive. I had left something in the trunk of my car. I have no idea, looking back on it, why I would ever have trusted them. But I sent the 2 of them out with my car keys to retrieve whatever this object was. And they came back, probably with whatever I wanted, but they also came back with a tire and told me that something was wrong with the car. They had to take the tire off, and on and on and on. Had I even had a clue, if I looked at the tire they broke, I didn't figure that out, probably went into a panic. The 2 of them, I love them, but if you left them alone for 2 minutes, they were off on some kind of crazy adventure.
It doesn't feel like 50 years, and I don't know what 50 years is supposed to feel like, but I guess the good thing is it went fairly quickly. It wasn't all roses, everybody has ups and downs in their life. But I think, things have worked out very well. I'm happy with, the grounding that I got at Lake Forest High School. And I think Lake Forest High School provided 3 important P's that are in many people's lives. And one was place. we had an amazing architectural structure, I think was built in the 20s, that few high schools look like that, certainly public schools, in a beautiful historic town. So you had this wonderful place, and then I say you had people, starting with parents and teachers and other classmates that were, you maybe didn't realize at the time how special some of them were, but it was a pretty amazing collection of people. And then finally, purpose. It may have started before then, but I feel that, this amalgamation of, parents and teachers and other students, and some from classes ahead who were role models, that I had a sense of where I wanted to go at that point in time. Is it where I ended up? No, but I didn't feel lost. I wasn't kind of wandering around thinking, where's life going to take me? Is this a good thing? I was busy all the time, and I felt like I was moving in a positive direction. So I look back with a lot of gratitude that Lake Forest High School was there for me at that place and time with that group of people. And it's one of those things you don't put on your resume anymore, but it really was an important start.
Like probably the majority of girls growing up, we wanted to be teachers and stewardesses. So initially that was my thought. I did, though, end up becoming a teacher. And I think a lot of it was around even like my experience here. Oh, one of the things I remember most is wearing short skirts, and they were really short then. Hip hugger bell bottoms, with the large prints on them, and yeah, those were fun things to wear.
Steve Skinner, he hung around with Pat Edwards all the time. He's another guy. He always had a big smile, always funny, kind of in some ways a big gawky kid.
This particular girl said, "Well, why do you remember me? I was only a C student." And I said to her, "You smiled back when I smiled at you, and that's all it takes for me to remember you."
Robin Castleberry, Brad Daniels,
Mitch McCallion, and Tommy Swarthought in a drama and oral interpretation class. Yeah. I'm not sure who was really in charge of the class, but you can guess. And I do remember we were doing some sort of quick impersonations at the end of class, and I remember Tommy Swarthought lying on the floor being bacon fried. It was quite the scene.
Mike Burns, Pam Metcalf,
Julie Getz,
Sharon DeLong.
It was Nicole Egoroff. I had her. She was a young, serious girl.
David Mattoon. By the way, I'm still working with David Mattoon.
Debbie Anna Clario.
Susie Kleeman.
Oh, Susie Kleeman.
And Amy Schutz.
Jimmy Pierbon, remember Jimmy? Happiest person in the world.
Kathy Duval.
John Evers.
Joe Santelio.
Fritz Duchel was not just a fun boy to have in class, and that's it. I remember people who are fun, not necessarily people who are brilliant students.
Daryl Reardon and Mike Reagan.
Yeah, that smile on his face, that grin, kind of like the Cheshire Cat that just, knew something that no one else knew.
There are a lot of good memories that I took away from that high school, even though I never went back. I really had a good time. It's the best time in my life. I hope it was yours.
It's too late to turn back now. I believe I'm falling in love. It's too late, baby. I believe I'm falling in.
We took those guys on a field trip up to Wisconsin. And of course, when you went to Wisconsin, you had to stop to get gas on those buses. And of course, the kids all got off and went into the thing. And once the bus got going again, I noticed in the back of the bus, there's Carl Kitzrow had a Playboy against the window facing the people driving behind us. And I think Mr. Russell came back and took it away. He probably took it home with him. But it was an interesting group up there.
Tom Ferris, at the end of his senior year, he wanted to know if he had, in quotes, made it. I believe Tom was on his third time through U.S. history. He had to have the class in order to graduate. When I informed him that in fact he had met the requirements and he would be graduating, he left my room and went screaming down the hall like a raped raccoon, and then he went silent, and I thought he had gone through the window at the end of the hall. A few seconds later, the door opened. He came in and gave me a great big handshake and said thank you. I went to lunch, and when I returned from lunch, I went to the mailbox in the main office, and there was a envelope that had Mr. Strain written on it, and it was written in carpenter's pencil, and Tom's the only guy that I know that ever used a carpenter's pencil. When I opened it up, there was a joint in there that was about 8 inches long, and it must have had a lid of grass in it altogether. The principal, Dale Holloway, saw me, and he said, "Is that what I think it is?" And I said, "Yeah, it probably is." And he said, "Well, wait a minute." And he went into his office and came back with a pumpkin, a plastic pumpkin that was loaded with pills. And he said, "When you light up, I'll start popping." So anyhow, that was fun.
And so we were doing our typical dissecting pigs. And there was a lone cat that they had. They did not have enough pigs for everybody in the class. I don't know who my partner was, but out comes the cat. Who wants the cat? Me being me, at the time a little bit different, I raised my hand. And my partner was like, "What?" I said, "Well, we'll do the cat. It's easier. It's bigger." Turns out the cat was pregnant at the time, and something happened, don't know what. So we did that. But the crazy side took over for me. And at the table we had, in the science class, we had the Bunsen burners, we had air, and we had different things. And I put the air source with a little plastic tube to the cat, to the trachea, and the cat sat up and meowed. And I thought everybody was going to absolutely have a heart attack. And what was his name again? Joe Morton? But wow! I think I spent some time down in Dick O'Dare, the principal's office, over that one. Many other, there's lots of stuff. So I think I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Mr. Kleck's hands are renowned for being rather large. Here's the size difference, if any of you remember shaking hands with him.
He could use his body to impose discipline.
And that's helpful. Males respond to that.
Art Kleck has large hands.
When I found a student who was a little disorderly about things, I would find good reason to shake his hand.
But when that teenage hand went into that banana hand, bad idea.
Maybe squeeze a little hard.
His hands are so large that he has to have his gloves custom made.
I had pretty big hands. I did find that my hands provided a marvelous tool for me.
That huge banana finger hands.
And in a way threatened some kind of brutal discipline.
Those are big hands.
One of the names given me by some students, group or individuals, was banana fingers. I never hit anybody, but I did threaten to a couple of times.
If you ever watch Ordinary People, you'll see about the first 5 minutes they mention Mr. Herman. That started when I had a night class out there. They were out there filming right in that little alleyway between outside the pool, and we turned the blowers on for the exhaust system, and any of you kids that had wood shop would know how noise that made. Well, Robert Redford and all his producers came running in and said, hey,
take a long, hard look at your chosen profession, my friend, because it doesn't get any easier. What we do is unfortunately very, very necessary.
We can't have this. We can't be filming this and making the noise. So they gave us walkie-talkies, and every time they would start the film, we would shut everything down and we'd go out and watch them film. And then about 9 o'clock, they all came in. Robert Redford and all his buddies came in and they were talking to us about what we were making in projects and all that. So that's where I think they found out my name and we wound up in the movie. So when you watch Ordinary People, you'll see it.
I gotta run. I'm playing at 9. Would you please call Mr. Herman about the shutters? I can't get anywhere with that man.
You have to charm Mr. Herman. Did you charm him? Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left us was alone. Oh, Papa was a rolling stone, my son, yeah. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all
never knew how complete love could be. She kissed me and said, baby, please go away. Feels so right being with you here tonight. Please go.
We're probably 1 minute away from winning the game. You know, it was a slugfest back and forth. Actually, the kid rolled out. We claimed he was past the line of scrimmage, so the defensive backs all come up, and no, he launches a ball, and we had him on the ropes, and they threw a long bomb. Ball goes over my head, and touchdown. The guy catches it in the end zone, and he falls backwards like Jim used to do a lot for us.
I tried to fall down.
Yeah,
looked good. If you had smaller shoulder pads, you could have gotten your arms up higher than that.
The game ended, and we lost within, 20 seconds left or something? We got the ball back and drove to midfield, and then tried like a miracle kick that was probably...
Actually, he called the fake field goal.
Oh, is that what it was?
And I was going to pass it to David.
Yeah.
And the snap went over my head, and that was the end.
Yeah, those plays hurt. Like I said, I mean, would have our lives changed at all? No, no. It's a high school football game. That's right. You know, life deals you a lot of hurts, right?
It does.
Just helped us get ready for those hurts.
It was a character builder.
Yeah, that's right. Character builder. Yeah. Oh. But if we played Warren 10 times, we'd probably win 5 and they'd win 5. They were good. It's right there on that video, man.
We were all coming of age together at a certain period of time. Lake Forest High School was the glue that held us together. And now we get to see what paths we all took and how our lives ended up. So to me, that's fascinating. I was a wannabe cheerleader and never made the cheerleading squad, which kind of broke my heart, but that was not meant to be. But I tried out for Guppies, the synchronized swimming team, and I did not make it the first year, but I tried and kept at it, and I did make it. Again, I was not very athletic in high school, and Mrs. Buckowicz was the gym teacher, and she was kind of a terror. And we had to do the times 600, which was, I hate it. It's humiliating because I was always last. So I decided, wearing my little navy blue, gym suit, to sneak into the back of the girls' bathroom when she wasn't looking. And I stood on the toilet thinking that if she noticed me missing, and if she came looking for me, she wouldn't see my feet. So I'm sitting there on the toilet saying, please God, don't let her come in. And all of a sudden, she flung the door open and goes, "Oh, O'Connor, get out. Got detention. And you're going to go run the 600. I was like, busted. That's my story. I really, really appreciate the education I got there, and even more so going to Berkeley, UC Berkeley, which was a very tough school with a lot of really brilliant students from all over the world. And I really give kudos to the teachers. This is a time to celebrate that we've made it this far, that we have a shared history, and that we can maybe make some fresh connections. And who knows what friendships will be rekindled, what memories will be shared. But to me, it's always a gift to be able to celebrate your past and your present and your future all in one event.
Brian Mitkiff, little kid, nice, friendly. All of you were friendly. Pat Myers, yes, you and I had some interesting words at times.
Okay. Oh, David. David Perry.
I remember him. He was always a crazy guy, real skinny guy, but crazy.
David, I don't know whether it was you or not, but maybe you were over at East Campus, and I believe you wrote a paper about an Indian tribe. And this paper was so funny and was so interesting, but it didn't exist. It was all fiction.
Pete Flood and Mark Williams.
Oh, when we get to Debbie Carrico, she's just one of Debbie's. I had 5 Debbies in the same class.
I had a boy named Pat Edwards who was really a quiet boy, freckles, and had a redheaded afro. I had the first and only redheaded afro discus throwing boy.
Mindy Mindy Beck, Brad Breniger.
I think I may have had him in class, but I also remember that I would occasionally babysit for him, so I could tell stories, but he was a cutie.
Charlie Alpendale. He was such a gifted musician.
We had a boy named Tom Havey, who was the most serious person in the world.
Marie Beaupre.
Peggy Brown.
There are a number of you that I think of often.
This is the main logo that we agreed on.
We all agreed on. Can we turn this?
Right.
And then, Jan, if you can see that, I don't know. So I'll hold it up.
And this reflects the time, reflects our class, reflects a lot of things that were going on then. And this is a little more formal for the picture backdrop, so we're going to use 2 logos.
Tom is being extremely generous
Yes.
and printing out anything we want. Friday night, we have 21 people signed up, so Ed's going to put out another blast.
You've got me.
Finding people was my biggest mission. Looking for them was exciting. It was like going on a treasure hunt on LinkedIn, Facebook, the social medias. I'd find somebody I knew who was a friend of a friend, who would lead me to somebody else, who would lead me to somebody else. I talked to classmates' cousins to find them. I talked to their ex-spouses. I talked to their children. I'd find them and I'd get so excited.
I got a peaceful, easy feeling, and I know you won't let me down, 'cause I'm already standing on the ground.
I had a couple reactions. Sometimes it was take me off the list, and sometimes it was I remember you from high school. Yes, I'd be glad to give you my email, and they did provide it. And often they would give me other people's contact information too. It's mostly reminiscing and sort of reliving your childhood. Teen years were the hardest years of most people's lives, but I think it's reconnecting with classmates that is important and is enjoyable.
Born to be wild, born to be wild.
Go Scouts, go.
If I leave here tomorrow, would you over.